Hi, this is Lisa Baker of Authentic Partnership. I am a marketing strategist and business coach, helping mom entrepreneurs grow their businesses in a way that is natural and feels good. And yesterday I talked about the types of marketing that do not work. And today I want to talk about a type of marketing that does work. Don't get me wrong, this is not the only kind of marketing that works, but I think you could arguably say that every type of marketing that does work will ultimately fit into this category, which is very broad. And it's this: if you want to grow your business, then you need to put your products and services in front of the people who need them and offer them the opportunity to buy them. So, this sounds really obvious when I put it like that, but here's the thing. A lot of people feel like they need to spend a lot of time indirectly doing this stuff, and I talked about this yesterday, social media and all this kind of thing. But ultimately, what you really need to do is get your products and services in front of the right people. So that means, number one, you need to know who the right people are. Number two, you need to know where they are. And number three, you need to get to those places and offer your products and services. And notice I say offer, not pitch, because a lot of people talk about pitching. There's a lot of marketing language that's very war-oriented, targeting, and very aggressive sounding. Pitching, I read this in a blog post this morning actually. Pitching is when you throw something at somebody and they either have to catch it or duck. Offering is when you just put it in front of them and say, hey, does this interest you? Either way, it's not stressful. It's not a, it doesn't need to be pushy. But I think most of the entrepreneurs that I work with do not have a problem with being pushy. They have the opposite problem of not being willing to be direct. And so instead of saying, hey, this could be really good for you, you might want to buy it, they'll say, yeah, I do this thing sometimes, and they don't really want to explain what it is or what it costs, and because they don't want to feel salesy or pushy. And I think there's a lot of power in a direct offer. Again, I don't want to call it a pitch necessarily, because it's not a thing where you're trying to sell something. It's not a thing where you're trying to convince. But offers are really important and very direct. It's important to be direct in these things and to get in front of the right people and say, hey, look, you might need this. Here's why I think you might need this. Here's how you get it. Here's what it costs. Here's what's involved. And a lot of people are really hesitant about that. And this particular type of marketing that I teach, partner marketing, what it involves is getting in front of not just your customers, but the people who are listened to by your customers. So the people who are able to, when they recommend something, your customers will go and buy it, and asking them to recommend it. And that is particularly an area where people really don't want to be direct in what they're asking for. So a lot of people who teach this idea of partner marketing will actually tell you that you should be fake about what you want. You should pretend like you're so let's just use blogging as an example, because a lot of people do this with bloggers. So suppose there's a blogger who has a lot of followers. They have a lot of followers on social media. They have a lot of followers on email. And this blogger, a lot of their followers are people who would probably love your product and you wish they heard about it. So you really want this blogger to talk about your product. And that is a really legitimate thing to want, actually. A lot of bloggers do that kind of thing. They recommend products. That is the thing that bloggers do. So, some people will tell you that the right way to do this is to start following the blogger and comment on their posts at least 15 times so that they will recognize your name, so that by the time you finally get around to pitching them, oh yeah, I forgot, follow them on social media, interact with them on Facebook, like their posts on Instagram, and do all this stuff to lay the groundwork before you email them and say, hey, I think your people might like this. Is this something you might be interested in? And I think that is so stupid, and it drives me fucking nuts because it's so disingenuous. And I'm going to steal an analogy from my fabulous colleague and coach, Tad Hargrave, he compares this to being a guy who wants to date you, but he won't ever tell you that. He's just like, oh yeah, we should hang out, let's maybe hang out again. And you're all like, is this a date? Like, he pays 50% of the time? I can't even tell what's going on here. Are we just friends? What the hell? It's super annoying. It's disingenuous, it's not authentic, and it's not real. Don't do that shit. Now, if you're following a blogger because you love their blog and you're commenting on their posts because you have something to say that you think is valuable, that's awesome. Keep doing that. But don't do it just to lay the groundwork to be allowed to ask them for something. Because if you have something valuable to offer, you can offer it to people. You can present it. You don't have to schmooze first. You don't have to get to know them first. You don't have to ask permission first. It is totally okay to send an email to a total stranger and say, hey, do you ever promote stuff? I have this cool thing. I think you might like it. I think your people might like it. Does this interest you? That's not a pitch. That's an offer. It's a gentle, hey, do you care about this? Is this the kind of thing you do? There is nothing wrong with that. So don't feel like you have to become best friends with somebody before you can ask them if they're interested in your product or to promote your product. It's silly. It's a waste of your time and theirs, and it's dishonest. And that's all I have to say about that.